This killer was always 2 steps ahead until now. For decades, the Southeast Asian liver fluke has haunted Northeast Thailand. A parasite spread through raw fish, is able to survive in the bile ducts for decades, and is one of the leading causes of bile duct cancer. And Khon Kaen, where I'm staying, has some of the highest rates of it in the world. Efforts to control it began as early as the 1950s and involved education and safe cooking advice, leading eventually to treatment programs with anti-worming drugs. But people just kept getting reinfected at rates of over 20 to 30% every year. Because eating raw fish dishes wasn't just a habit, it was an ingrained part of local culture that spans generations. And that's when researchers at Khon Kaen University realised something critical. If they stood any chance of stopping the liver fluke, they needed to attack every step of its life cycle all at once. This became the foundation of what we now call the Lawa Model, a One Health approach. First, treatment became continuous. The infected villagers were diagnosed and treated with a single dose of medicine, but instead of one-off campaigns, local health centres and public health officials, as well as village health volunteers, were trained to carry out testing, scans, and continue the treatment regularly as part of a routine care. And because the parasite also circulates through the animals, local cats and dogs were regularly dewormed. Vets and pet owners became a vital part of the strategy. Then came education. Generic health warnings clearly weren't working, so instead the team created local programs that explained in simple terms how the raw fish was silently damaging the liver and leading to bile duct cancer. Public health campaigns like Lawa says goodbye to raw fish used posters, radio, videos, and cooking workshops to encourage safer eating habits, to try and adapt to the culture rather than erasing it. And today I've been invited down to one of the primary care units around Lawa Lake to see this work in action. Instead of a scientist in a white coat talking down to you about your cultural practices you and your family have been doing for absolute years, instead they're spreading the message in a way that villagers can't ignore, and that's through song and dance. And educating the next generation is just as important, since infection often begins in childhood and can last decades before the cancer develops. The Liver Fluke Free School programme screened and treated over 1,000 students, and even rolled out a special liver fluke curriculum that began in 30 schools and is now expanding all over Thailand. Children became part of the prevention. But the parasite doesn't just live in people, it all starts with the snails and the fish. So the third stage was the environment around the lake itself. Communities helped monitor wildlife and even supported the building of a road that altered the wetlands just enough to reduce the snail populations, some of the first hosts of the worm. By changing the landscape, they made it so much harder for the infected snails and fish to thrive, cutting the parasite off at the source. But what was holding all of this together was the community involvement of the villagers. Volunteers who went door to door, encouraging stool testing, making sure people were taking the treatments, and answering any questions face to face. They were the bridge between the researchers and the locals. For over 20 years, all of these elements were woven into a single system, and what began as a small university-backed project with minimal funding grew into a nationally and internationally recognised model for liver fluke control. The Lawa model became more than just a treatment programme. It became a long-term blueprint linking health, education, animals, the environment, and culture. But the real question is, did it work? Head to the final episode to find out.